Draco. These are the 3 Dracos we have in for an article in Tactical Life magazine, giving you videos and reviews of each of them independently while we wait for that article to print. I've shown you a video on the regular Draco. This time we're going to take a closer look at the Mini Draco and what makes it different from a regular Draco aside from the obviously shorter barrel. Coming up next on GBGuns. So the Draco is already a shorter barrel pistol. The Mini Draco takes it down to just a 7 3/4 inch barrel. That's right, folks. That's less than half of what the regular barrel length would be on a US-made AK. What makes these fun, aside from the giant fireballs and thunder that comes from them, is there's no 922R to worry about. As a pistol, it's not restricted, which means that Century Arms can bring these in 100% Romanian. You don't have any US parts. These are made in Cugir. You can see right there. Those of you that missed the last video, we went to Cugir. I asked the locals. That's how it's pronounced. It's not Cugir as, well, we would pronounce it. But anyways, so this gives you a 7 3/4 inch barrel with a different and rather unique handguard to it. This particular one's got some really bright wood to it. I was not expecting that. You can see that we have a little bit of a ramp to not so much serve as a hand stop, which you might need, but fits the hands nicely, at least for me. And I can go thumb forward. Man, I'm probably gonna have to do a magwell grip or a magazine grip. That's getting awfully close to the muzzle in there. But these do have some slightly different construction to them, so I wanted to give a closer look. We'll start off, of course, by pointing out we've got a serialized top cover that matches the serial on the gun. You can see this is a 2019 production gun. Let's take a look at our rivets. Don't see any bending of the metal. Rivets are sitting very flat. You can see our rear sight is adjustable with an optimistic 500 meter mark. You can still get to the gas tube. And of course the front sight block and gas block are integrated because, well, where else are you going to put them? The barrel is threaded, comes with a flash hider on it, which is pretty wise. I don't know how well it's going to work, especially with some of that really flashy ammo like Wolf, but we'll give it a try and see. Coming down the other side, a little bit of dent to that rivet. Has that kind of coarse finish that we've come to expect from the Cugir factory. Overall looks pretty good. The safety might slightly overshoot, but not to the point that it's causing any excessive resistance, and it fits nicely into that top cover. So that's all positive there. Next we'll field strip this and take a look inside, and I'll show you some of the things they did to make this run. So to field strip the AK, of course I'm going to check that it's clear. You notice the receiver is still the same length as a regular AK, so it still has pretty much the same stroke. Obviously it's got to come back far enough to kick out that 39mm long casing and feed the next one. Got it clear, safety lever is off. We're going to push in on this button here while lifting and kind of torquing the top cover a little bit to get it clear. It pops off. Now immediately you might notice this bumper system here. This is a hard plastic, almost like a Delrin kind of thing, that is going to take the brunt of the force from the carrier as it comes to the rear, which is smart because, well, there's probably going to be a whole lot of gas pushing on this thing. It has a unique shape to it. It's not your standard one that clips over the end, because it allows the recoil assembly to come out. You can see the recoil assembly appears to be the same length as any regular AK. And then you kind of wedge this guy out. Like I said, I believe it's like a Delrin. It reminds me of some of the very hard polymers used in automotive applications for sway bar bushings, things like that, in the suspension system. And our bolt comes out very nicely. Keep a look inside. We do have some slight roughness on the surface of those rails in there that will polish out in time. And you can see we've got the paperclip style retaining system in there for these pins, but it appears that unlike the Zastavas, these pins are not made for walking, which is nice. So looking at our carrier, you can see that the piston is pretty much gone. It's essentially just a head sitting on the top of the carrier, because that's all there's room for. Take a look at our bolt. We can see our bolt is also serialized to match the receiver and top cover. And the carrier machining a little rough. It's always amazed me how rough the machining can be in this channel, and it's that way on pretty much all AKs, and it doesn't seem to have any impact on things. The AK is just more tolerant of it than, I guess, an AR where everything has to be super smooth. It's part of what adds to the reliability of the AK. We do have a single hook trigger and that braided wire spring. Got to be careful pulling those things out. Those are never friendly on the hands. I'm going to try to pop off this gas system. I'm not sure how this is going to work. Haven't tried it yet. That pivoted up. Yeah, it can come out. Excuse the struggle, but I keep it real here. I show you as I'm doing it for the first time myself. We can see there's a little bit of an angle cut on the end of this tube to permit it to come up and out. It's just a matter of making sure that this piece that holds it in place is in the way. Try prying. Almost. Need something with a little more leverage and a little longer reach. Try this very custom punch that I have here. You guys ever have this where the roll pin from an AR gets stuck on the end? It looks like that punch is not strong enough for that. Let's go back to one of our million hex keys. I have all these hex keys laying around from the ones that come with something. You use it to install and then you don't need it because you already have a hex key set. So there is our itty bitty gas tube. And we can see down into the barrel there. The handguard is retained with this screw. I'm not going to bother with pulling that off, but you can see how short and taut everything is. So now to get this back together, we've got that downward angle there, which we know needs to go in. As this gets pushed on, there we go. Bring this back down and around to lock it in place. If you haven't tried using your carrier for dealing with this piece here, it makes life a whole lot easier. Get our bolt back in our carrier. So, with a barrel this short, you can see why with such a short gas system, it's important to have that bumper back there, because with the carrier all the way to the rear, it comes clear. It loses guidance. So that bumper back there is going to help keep it from overstroking, if you will. The bumper goes in with this ramp to the rear. That gives you space to get that recoil assembly back in. But also with a system this short, it makes me wonder how much gas gets generated that is useful, and if this is going to have any load sensitivities. And of course, with all AKs, there's always the question of magazine fit. The guns ship with a PMag. We will run a variety of different magazines through it. We also have some US Palm pieces in that we'll probably give it a try. This will be interesting to hold on to. I think a glove might be a good idea, or maybe hooking the thumb right in there to hold on. I'm curious. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I know these have been out for a while. They're not necessarily anything new, but they are new to me. So I'd love to hear from y'all what your experience has been with these Mini Dracos, as tiny as they are, what personality they might have. I think it's a great length for a truck gun or a backpack gun. Slap a brace on here and you've got yourself a little fire spitter. Aside from range fun, I am curious what kind of energy it's going to produce with such a short barrel, knowing that that round is likely not gotten up to its originally intended velocity before it leaves. So if we can do it without torching the chrono, we'll probably chrono this and take a look at what kind of energy we're getting. Don't always use the chrono in their videos. That's because we're in Oregon and usually the sky is falling in one form of precipitation or another, and my chrono doesn't like that. Anyways, that's the Mini Draco. Quick tabletop overview. Let me know your thoughts on it, your experiences, and your interests, and we'll see you on the range. Thanks for watching.